So the Los Angeles Clippers are 5-12 this season, putting them in 12th place in the Western Conference. Now this team is in absolute shambles. They're the oldest team in the NBA. They look old out on the court, and they just cannot keep up with most of the teams in this league. It's kind of sad to see a team in this situation because when stacking them up against other bad teams in this NBA, this is actually one of the rosters that's supposed to be winning games this season. They're clearly not tanking, so that makes the situation that much worse for Los Angeles. Now they are dealing with injuries, and basically everyone expected this coming into the season. This is an injury-ridden roster of guys that have a history of missing time, specifically in the case of Kawhi Leonard. Now Bradley Beal has been their biggest blow injury-wise, playing 6 games this season before being ruled out for the rest of the year with a fractured hip. Kawhi has missed 10 games so far this season with a sprained ankle. Derrick Jones Jr. has missed the last 4 games with a knee injury, but I wouldn't even say injuries are the biggest contributing factor when it comes to the Clippers losing games this season. This team just straight up is not producing when they're out on the floor. They're 26th in total offense and 19th in total team defense this season. Now on a good note, I will credit James Harden and Ivica Zubac for being very good so far this season. James Harden is currently averaging 28 points, 8 assists, and almost 6 rebounds a night this season with respectable splits of 45, 39, 90. He's leading the way for the Clippers. And then Zubac has been Zubac. He's posting 17 points per game and 12 rebounds a night. Also, Kawhi, when available, has been pretty good this season for them, averaging almost 24 points a game on 50, 42, 97 shooting splits. But after these 3 guys, the offense has literally fallen on its face this season. So let's kind of go down this roster player by player and talk a little bit about what's really happening in Los Angeles right now. Firstly, the new addition of John Collins has been forgettable. He basically has no shot creation, and most of his points come from cutting to the rim or spot-up threes. He's making $24 million this year. However, this is the last year of his contract. This big money for underproduction, it kind of tells the story for the Clippers this season. Chris Dunn, I'm kind of going to breeze over him. He kind of offers minimal offensive contribution. And he's really only on an NBA roster to guard on defense. He's doing what he's paid to do, so I'm not going to talk about him too much. But then we look at Brook Lopez, Nick Batum, Chris Paul, and with all 3 of these guys, if they announce their retirement today, I would not be surprised. They look so old, they get targeted on defense. The offensive production really slows down when those 3 guys are on the court. They're very limited on transition offense, just guys who have lost their legs a little bit. And that kind of paints a picture for this team. I think down the stretch, they have struggled keeping up with teams. I was at the Cavs-Clippers game on Sunday, and Nick Batum is guarding DeAndre Hunter. Like, it was just free buckets. Like I said, this team is old. They have an average age over 33 years old. Matchups have been a nightmare for them defensively. And this unit as a whole just isn't particularly good at anything. And you throw them in a competitive Western Conference, they straight up get beaten down the stretch many nights. The next guy I want to talk about is Bogdan Bogdanovic. The Clippers are paying this guy $16 million this year, and they don't even want to play him. Bogdanovic has 6 DNPs this season, and for a guy who you bring in to be a complementary piece, a knockdown shooter to kind of ignite that second unit, for some reason they want to bring him in and out of the rotation. Obviously, Tyronn Lue, not a fan of Bogdan Bogdanovic, but he's gotten lapped by guys like rookie Kobe Sanders, who got his first start a couple nights ago versus 76ers. I do like what I see from a couple of these young guys. Obviously, a lot of them are raw talent, but I like just seeing youthful energy on the court for the Clippers throughout at least this season while they're stuck with this roster. They have a lot of money tied down. They can kind of utilize these young guys to kind of fill in the gaps when there's a lot of old guys on the court, which is, you know, relatively most of the roster. But really, as this season has progressed, it makes moves that were made this offseason look really bad on the Clippers front office. Obviously, this is a front office that's led by billionaire owner Jerry Ballmer, who absolutely refuses to let this team tank. They debuted their new arena last season, so they want excitement in LA. They want to sell tickets. They want to be competitive. And in turn, they acquired a lot of aging big names to sell tickets and potentially compete for a championship this year. But as we're seeing right in front of our eyes, this is clearly the furthest thing from that. And as bad as the Clippers have been this season, let us not forget who has their first round pick next season. No one else except for the Oklahoma City Thunder. This means that if the Clippers continue to suck this year, the Thunder literally have a chance of acquiring a lottery pick for next season. Dare I say a top 5 pick? Dare I say number 1? Because clearly we've learned from the past that good rosters can still get number 1 picks even if the percentage is 0.2%. I'm literally going to be sick to my stomach if I see AJ Debonta in a Thunder jersey next season. And I think if you like the NBA, if you like competitiveness in the NBA, we better rally the troops and support this Clippers roster throughout the rest of the season and hope they turn it around. And just by any means necessary, do not let the Thunder get a top 5 pick in next year's draft. But anyways, moving forward, what should the Clippers do? In my opinion, I like adding Kobe Sanders into the starting lineup, or to at least play the 6-man role for this team. He's a young, athletic, high-energy guy. Like I said, he's very raw offensively. He's not going to show high efficiency stats this season, but I like just inserting some youthfulness, developing some younger guys, because clearly moving forward, the Clippers have to be moving away from this aging roster. I think you take Nick Batum's minutes away completely for the time being, and then you stagger them between guys like Kobe Brown and Jordan Miller, both 25-year-olds, just to develop them as players throughout the season. I think you continue to give Chris Paul 8 to 10 minutes a night and let these young guys learn from one of the best point guards in NBA history. And then from there, you just ride the coattails of James Harden, continuing to let him run the show, and just hope that things can get turned around somewhat this season. See if you can sneak into a play-in spot, because obviously tanking at this point is not an option for this team. Whether you put that on ownership not wanting to tank, or if we're all collectively pulling for the Thunder to not get a good pick next season. On the bright side, the Clippers hold team options next year for Bogdanovich, Brook Lopez, and Nick Batum. Realistically, I don't see any of those guys back on this roster next season. Also, John Collins' contract is up after the season. That's another $24 million that gets freed up, and it kind of adds some financial flexibility for this roster to retool next season. Ultimately, I do not have a lot of trust in this organization to make the right moves, and I think they're just straight up delusional for thinking this roster this season can compete for a championship. I just saw yesterday that they are interested in DeMar DeRozan. Yes, 36-year-old DeMar DeRozan. So clearly this front office is not learning from their mistakes. They want to keep the UNC squad around. It's just really laughable, and I don't see this team willing to tank whatsoever. So let me know any thoughts you guys have about the Clippers in the comments. Is there any hope for this team? Anyways, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this Clippers team. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow me at peace.hoops on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.